Let me show you this original sump setup. So this would normally sit something like this in the R8, but the exhaust system is going to go here. There's just no room for it. The canopy wouldn't even close with this behemoth of a sump here. So that's why all the modifications are required. I can't reuse, unfortunately, reuse any of this. It's a well-engineered piece. I just can't use it, unfortunately. So anyway, we're gonna put a sump, more of a cylindrical sump, is gonna go back here on the firewall somewhere. Don't know yet, probably on the other side of the firewall. I'll put a cylindrical style tank, or traditional looking tank back there. All right, so after a lot of research and trying to understand how sump tanks are built and what the inners look like, I decided I'm actually going to use a piece of this R8 sump tank, and I'm going to use the top section, that cylindrical section that you see. That's actually just a little over 6 inches in diameter, so it'll work really well with the design that I've come up with for my custom sump tank. Anytime you can reuse these factory engineered parts, a ton of money's gone into engineering them, so might as well make use of whatever you can. Here's the design I came up with, again back in Fusion 360. I made a mock-up of the top piece you just saw off the OEM tank, but it will basically compromise a 6-inch pipe as the main body, and then this, what I'm calling a boot extension, which will hold another gallon of oil. So combined total, this will be about a 2-gallon sump that will leave about 4 inches of airspace towards the top. Cross section, there's a couple of baffles in there. Again, just looking online to see how these tanks are normally constructed, I tried to replicate as much as I could, given that certainly there's a reason for those baffles to de-aerate the oil coming in. I've already started to cut up the tank here. I forgot to turn the camera on, but here's catch you up real quick. Cut off the oil filler, cut off this mounting bracket, and then I had already started to cut into the top half of that tank, but here I'll finish it up. All right, here's the top of the OEM sump tank that I'm going to reuse here. I've already got a -16 aluminum fitting that fits perfectly there that I'll weld in as the return line. Pretty well engineered piece. Again, this is all handmade, and it's part of the crankcase ventilation ports that you see at the top. Here's what they call the cyclone coarse oil separator, and oil kind of spirals down as it enters the sump tank to take air out of it. And then I added some additional baffles on the underside that we'll see as I put this part together. So here is the dry sump tank. Basically all I can manage to fit behind the engine is a 6-inch diameter cylinder, and even at 20 inches tall, which is too tall, there's not 2 gallons. I need about 2 gallons of oil in the sump. So I came up with kind of a hybrid scenario where I've got a 16-inch tall, 6-inch aluminum pipe, and then I've added this extra boot, it looks like, that'll add another gallon. So my calculations, given all the dimensions, I'm at 2.12 gallons capacity with about 4 inches of room at the top of the sump. You need some airspace there. So that doesn't include the oil filter capacity and all the -16 AN lines that will probably hold another quart or two at least. I'm about halfway through building my own custom dry sump tank for this car project. Here are the pieces. So the first thing I fabricated was the cylinder. This is just a piece of 6-inch aluminum pipe, 1/8 wall, and various cutouts for the boot. And I've got the, oh, almost dropped it. I've got the hole drilled for the oil filler cap. And then here's the boot that it all goes onto. I've got all the pieces tack welded together. So this will go something like that. So you get the idea. That's what that looks like. And then what goes in the actual sump tank is this rig. Again, this is just to de-aerate the oil. But these holes, these are 3/4 inch holes, they're offset. And then this top layer, you can see when it comes out of the top of the de-aerator, drains on top of that plate and then swirls around the holes down to a second set of holes. And these holes are about oil level. That's about where the oil level will be in the tank. And then this tube. So this slides down. Try and do this one-handed. Slides down like this. Like that. And then this piece, and of course I'll weld that in, get a couple weld tabs in there. And then this piece will go like that. And that'll be the tank. And then of course I've got the fill nozzle, which I'll weld up there. And that'll give me an easy access fill location as well. So coming together, almost done. We're gonna get to finish welding this thing and then we'll try and fit it in the car. See if I got it right. Here is my finished custom dry sump oil tank. It's actually filled with water right now, 2 gallons of water right up to the fill line, and I've got it on blocks over some paper. I'm gonna let it sit overnight just to see if it leaks any water. On the first test, I did have a small pinhole leak that I had to just weld up, but other than that, so far so good, no leaks. With 2 gallons of water. I estimated 2.12 gallons, and it's about 2 right at the watermark. So my volumetric calculation was slightly off, but that's okay. I made this mounting bracket setup, and then just these hose clamps, 6-inch hose clamps, and then this will bolt to the firewall, engine firewall. I've got a 6AN cap fitting down here just to plug it, but that will be the oil feed to the engine, and then the oil return is right here on this side. And then I've got, you can see here, I've got the lower one capped, the water levels right about here, but this you'll have a sight gauge, so a piece of clear tubing there will show the level of the oil, and right about where this lower hose clamp is where the oil level will be. And again, it's just about 2 gallons of oil in there. Final step, I actually decided to weld an L bracket at the bottom of this sump tank. This will actually bolt to the underside of the chassis, give it plenty of support for when that thing's filled with 2 gallons of oil. I've also got a drain, NTP drain fitting there, you can see as well. And here's the sump tank sitting in the chassis. I've got a couple of body modifications I'm going to have to do, but that's coming up next.